right, welcome to the second installment of Nancy Reagan drawings. This is a second attempt at drawing her with my usual getup on. I really like the face on this one. There was a picture of her on, I believe it was the Nancy Reagan Facebook page, that had her kind of like looking downward, and I liked that image just because of how like distinct that angle of her face was, so I based off of that picture. She sometimes did have on, I don't know if it's eyeliner, but just some more makeup than like the usual, just like lipstick, and that was captured in that photo, and that's why for this I decided to implement it. But I like the angle of her hair too, because it's kind of more refined instead of just like kind of like the larger look that it has in a lot of other images I see of her. And with regard to the coat, I think the proportions are nice. I made sure to put a little bit of some shading, right, to give it a look, because I know I have a lot of white backgrounds. I'm going to try to improve upon that during the hopeful third installment. But it's a photo I do really like. It wasn't as difficult to do as the other one, because it's not as full body, but it still was an experiment in terms of just having that image of her face and then trying to like make an outfit kind of that sort of centered around it, just proportion wise. The second one we have here is her with South Carolina icon Strom Thurmond. And I mean, what can I say? Strom is, in my opinion, one of the most important senators of the 20th century. Even if he did not have his like legislative achievements, like Ted Kennedy or Richard Russell or one of those, his longevity and his closeness to multiple Republican presidents cements him in that status. So this is what I talked about when I said I wanted to try and draw her with some senators, congressmen. Strom is one of the first ones that comes to mind for me personally, because my grandmother was from South Carolina and was she migrated to California during his time as senator, and I really visualized this as kind of like him sitting down and her just standing by, because Nancy wasn't that tall. So I like the proportions here. I started off with trying to figure out what kind of dress to have her wearing. I knew I wanted something red because, like I said, that was her signature color. But I didn't have like a set idea. A lot of times they have these gowns that are kind of like off the shoulder or like a little bit above the shoulder. I guess it's called a boat neck. Don't quote me on that one. And of course, I had to give her the very commonly worn by first ladies pearl necklace. I would say this is one of my favorite faces for her in terms of ones I've drawn, because it's her smiling and just kind of like looking really happy. Yeah, I think this is my favorite of the three, just because I wanted to draw her with someone, another person, and Strom was like one of the top ones on my mind. And I've only drawn Strom one time before this picture, several years ago as a frontal image, and I'm happy that I at least got to do it again, and with one of the most, in my opinion, iconic first ladies of them all. So South Carolina icon and White House icon all together. I want to keep this going where maybe for each one of these we can get a different senator, or I could draw Strom again. I'm open to either one. So this is probably my favorite of the three in this here. Now here's where we get into some controversy. At first I wanted to, because this is just a pet peeve of mine. Women's clothing is so much more distinct than men's. Like, it just is. I mentioned that, like, if I draw a senator or a congressman or another, president besides President Reagan, it's always going to be them wearing a suit and tie and, the usual get up that all the different business attire men like to wear, the uniform stuff. And I wanted to draw myself with her attire because I thought it would be a fun little gag. Um, and I also really like the designs of a lot of the outfits. I guess the hair part was what got me a little like over the top. Um, I thought it would just be fun to kind of like visualize, what her hair would look like on someone else. So I'm sure this will be a very controversial picture. I don't regret doing it because, like I said, I could, like, if I do a picture of myself with Nancy, for example, and I've got her, I have all types of different outfits I could have her wearing. Because again, all these different dresses and suits and gowns, all types of just different attire. But for me, it's going to be a hell of a lot more limited if I'm just going off of strictly men's clothing. So I wanted something that I knew would be more would be less conventional, right, in terms of what we expect from guys, but also still like still homaging something else. That picture of her, I don't have, I'm not going to stick it in here because I used it for the Why Look Up to Nancy Reagan video. You can see it there. But yeah, I might do this again. I do like the picture. I do just think it's fun. It's nice to just see what that attire would look like on someone else. So yeah, that was the second installment, and I hope you guys enjoyed the pictures, and hopefully I can come back with a third one sooner than later.